with Tao. It is true that religion is total freedom, then is not surrender in religion contradictory, or freedom and surrender are contradictory to one another? It appears that freedom and surrender are contradictory in religion. They appears because of the language. Existentially, it is not so. Freedom is the way, is the goal, you can say, that one needs to attain in religion. But how to attain to freedom? This is you want to reach somewhere, but how are you going to reach? You have to analyze how far is the place where you have to reach and what are the different modes of transport. If it is within the same country, you can take a flight, you can take a train, you can take a bus, you can use your own transport. If it is nearby, you can use your own vehicle, or you can go on walking. Is there any contradiction between the two? You want to reach somewhere, but how are you going to reach there? Is there any contradiction between the two? It appears when it comes to the religion. And they appear so because of the language. Existentially, they are not. Try to understand two things. First, you cannot be free remaining as you are. Like you want to reach somewhere, you cannot sit down where you are. The way you are, you want to remain that way, it is not possible, because you have to start movement. In religion, you are the bondage. Your ego is the bondage. You can be free only when ego disappears. Ego point where you are is the bondage. You want to remain sitting where you are, so this is a bondage in your reaching to that place. You don't want to do anything. You are desiring to go to that place. You want to reach to that place, but you have to do something. When their ego means you are stationary, you are not moving, you have a particular bent of way of mind, way of looking at the things. So when there is no ego, you become one with existence. And only then, only that oneness can be the freedom. Oneness with existence, oneness with the whole means freedom. As such as you are conditioned by so many things, by religion, your belief system and conditioning, you are separate from the everything around you. How can you attain to freedom? You have to be in a state of oneness, that we are all one. We are part of one synergistic harmony. We are not aliens, nor as strangers join, like strangers coming together for certain purpose. We are bound to each other by a causeless force. While you exist separate, this separation is false. You are Two people are sitting in one room and they consider themselves to be separate. Separate because of the limitations of the body, but you feel they are in one environment. If any calamity takes place there, will it not affect the both? If fire erupts, will it make distinction between the two? There, it will depend on your effort. If your effort is to come out of that or remain in that, then both will perish. Really, you are not separate, you cannot be. You are part of one existence, and it is not mechanical part, but the organic part. The cars, different parts are mechanical parts. But body, everything is organic parts. You cannot exist for a single moment separated from the existence. You breathe air, which is existential. You are nourished by the sunlight, which is existential. You walk on the earth, which is existential. All these things, the sky, the sun, the planets, the moon, the air, all they are not mechanical parts. They are organic parts or existential. You cannot exist even for a single moment separate from existence. Can you exist without being part of, without inhaling? You breathe. You cannot exist even for a single moment separate from existence. You breathe it every moment. It breathes you every moment. You live in a cosmic whole, but your ego, your conditioning, your identity gives you a false feeling of separate existence. God has not created a separate environment, separate air for a Hindu, Muslim, or Christian, not separate from the environment, or they did not make a separate sun for Islamic countries or NATO countries or European Union or Asian countries. There is one sun, one moon, one sky, one earth. But we have created divisions. This is the place of worship for Muslims according to the Islamic tradition. This is the place of worship for Hindus according to the Hindu tradition. But behind all these, your so-called religious organizations, religious places, they exist on the same earth. They are nourished and nurtured by the plants that grow in different places. They are nourished and nurtured by one common sun. Moonlight that falls on the building to reflect the beauty comes from the one source, moon. Because of that false feeling, you start fighting existence, and when you fight, you are in a bondage. And when you fight, you are bound to be defeated. Because the part cannot be against the whole. Earth is nourished by sun. And because of this fight with the whole, you feel in a bondage. Everywhere there is limitations. Whenever you move, a wall comes in. This wall is nowhere in existence, but it is in your it is created by your ego. It is created by your ego. It is part of your separate feelings. Then a struggle against existence begins. In that struggle, you will be defeated constantly, and that creates bondage, that creates limitations. So, surrender means, and this is part of ego. Because of ego, you feel limited, you feel a bondage. So, this has to be removed. You have to come out of it. And how can you come out of it? Then surrender is the way, is the vehicle through which your journey of transformation can begin. You want to go somewhere, you want to have transformation in your life, then your bondages that are there, that I am a male, I am a female, I am a Hindu, I am a Christian, I am a Muslim, I am this, I belong to a superior race. All these are the bondages. You have to overcome that. In order for doing that, just as to go, if from the place where you are to reach to the place where you want to go, you do not have your own transport, so you are using a public transport. Can you see that the public transport should have only people of one kind or one class or one religion or one understanding? It cannot be. So you have to accept it. You have to accept it. There will be men, there will be women, there will be children, there will be older people, there will be Muslims, Christians, Hindus. All are traveling in one vehicle to reach to the same destination. And you cannot say in this congregation there will be people only of one sect. Everybody is free to reach there, to attend to that concert, to attend to that program. So you cannot impose. By surrender, it is meant that you surrender the ego, your conditionings. You surrender your separate walls, the invisible walls that you have created around you. You become one. That is reality. So whatsoever you are surrendering, you are just surrendering your dream, your concept, your false notion, your identity, your egocentric identity, your inner conflict. You are not surrendering the reality. You decided, because now if you look at the situation, you are living in Germany. So all the vehicles, all the transport means will have signs in German language. They may have in another common language, which is English, or sometimes maybe Arabic. In India, it will be English, Hindi, and maybe Arabic, depends upon. So English and Hindi, it will be there. So you cannot say that I will not enter this train because it does not have the signs or signs in German or in Arabic or in Persian. These are the outcome of narrowness, that you can say for certain things, but you cannot say that I will not enter into this public. That is the reality. The country uses its own if you are going to a restaurant. It cannot be said that all people should have the hijab there, or the chefs should be of a particular ethnicity. What it is needed in an Indian restaurant, there has to be the people who are experts in tandoori items. Then there are people who are experts in making sweets. There are people who are ready to make the gravies. So these are the three different things in an Indian restaurant. One expert in tandoori dishes. So tandoori dishes does not mean vegetarian or non-vegetarian alone. Instead, vegetarian as well as non-vegetarian. And the gravies, so is the gravy. Gravies, vegetarian and non-vegetarian. In addition to that, there are the different types of gravies, the green gravy, the white gravy, the red gravy. So the person who is an expert in gravies, he will be capable of creating any type of gravy. Then there are people who are making the sweets. So these are the experts that are needed in a restaurant. You cannot put a condition because you are coming to a restaurant where the owner keeps the employees according to his own expertise, according to the requirements. What are you making? There may be a person of a different ethnicity, like a number of chefs all over the world are coming from Nepal. They are expert of Indian cooking, but they are capable of making the Indo-Chinese dishes also. So they learn all these things. That is the reality. So whatsoever you are surrendering your dream, a concept, a false notion. You cannot say that you will not go to the restaurant because this restaurant carries an idol or the statue of Buddha there. And according to Islamic traditions, this is not right. Will a Muslim not go to a place where the statue, idol of Buddha is there? This depends on the owner, what he wants to do. So you have to surrender a concept, a false notion, and all these things. You are not surrendering the reality, you are just surrendering the false attitude. You do not want to say that you will not enter the supermarket because it is run by Christians, or it is run by Hindus, or it is run by Islamic people. The moment you surrender this false attitude, you become one with existence. Then there is no conflict. And if there is no conflict, you have no limitations. Nowhere there comes a bondage, a boundary. You are not separate. You cannot, and if you are not separated, then you cannot be defeated because there is no one to be defeated. You cannot die because there is no one to die. You cannot be in misery because there is no one to be in a misery. The moment ego is surrendered, the whole nonsense. With surrendering of the ego, the whole nonsense is surrendered. Misery, the bondage, the pain, the hell, the heaven, everything is surrendered. You become one with existence. And this oneness is freedom. Within your body, you have bondages. You consider this part to be more pure than the other. We do not treat all the organs of the body the same way. Let us look at it. Genitals. Genitals are the source of excretion. And what does your mouth do? Does it not? At times it is a kind of excretion. When you are angry and you utter the words which are not pleasant, the same mouth you are using to utter, to fight, to quarrel, to express anger, and to express love. The source is the same. From the mouth, the words, loving words are coming out, and the words of acrimony comes out. So this separation, do you want to have a separate mouth for loving language and one for the language of acrimony and things like that? You have to understand the mouth is not different. It is the same. The vocal cord is the same. It is the thought process, it is the ego behind it that guides your words, guides your way of dealing, that is to be changed. So the same now source, same vocal cord will speak the language of harmony. When you are plagued with inner conflict, the same vocal cord will speak the language of conflict and acrimony. And this is what we have to understand. Oneness, when there is oneness, you realize that the whole body is organic. Can your upper extremities, can your heart stay if there is no genitals in the body, or there is no mind, or there is no eyes? It is a part of organic existence. When you consider all as part of one synergistic harmony, this oneness is freedom. This oneness that we are all part of. Start looking at it from your own body. The eyes, the ears, the nose, the nostrils, the mouth, the neck, the cheeks, the hands, the fingers, the nails, the genitals, the legs, the toes, the calf, are all part of one synergistic harmony. If one part is not working in harmony, is inflicted, then the efficiency of the entire body is affected by it. Separation is the bondage. Oneness is freedom. And how? Not that you become free. Remember this. You are no more. Oneness means you do not exist as a separate, as an island. So it is not that you become free, you are no more. Freedom means you exist, your existence is nothing else but defined by ego. By the mind, by the conditioning that I am a doctor, I am an engineer, I am a German, I am Indian, I am rich, I am poor. All these identities are surrendered. And behind all these is A doctor not a human? Is an engineer not a human? Is a German not a human? Is an American not a human? Is a rich not a human? Is a poor not a human? Is a child not a human? Is an adult not a human? Is an old not a human? All are human first. And this is the common denominator in each one of us. Our focus remains on all that is superfluous. One race considers itself to be superior to the other. And then there is a class division everywhere. Even in your country, you will see the division of rich and poor. An ordinary person and the one who is intellectual. So separation is bondage. Oneness is freedom, not that you become free. If all the people remove their identity, the superfluous identity, as a doctor, as an engineer, as a musician, as a singer, as an American, as a German, then will not they exist? They will exist as a human being. They will exist as one. There will be oneness. Everyone is identified as human. And when you are traveling, you have to stand for security. Is there a separate line for Americans, German? Everyone has to stand up in the same line. Except there are maybe certain exceptions for physically disabled persons. But for everyone else, everyone has to stand up in immigration in the same line. Yes, there are certain exceptions, but I'm talking about general. The crew members have a separate line. The citizens of the country has a separate line. But in general, everyone has to stand up in one line. When you are entering into a concert hall or place, there is one line for everybody to enter. Oneness is freedom, not that you become free. Remember this, you are no more as a rich or a poor or a VIP or an ordinary. In case of existence, there is no VIP, there is no president, there is no ordinary person. Everyone is treated in one way. So it is not that you become free, you are no more really when you are not. You do not exist as ego, as separate from the other. This is freedom. How to express it is a problem. When you are not, freedom is, Buddha is reported to have said, you are not going to be in bliss. When you are not, bliss is. You are not in love. Instead, you are love. You are not going to be liberated. You are going to be liberated from yourself. So there is freedom from, freedom for, and just freedom. So you exist as freedom. Enough for now.